So the kit I'm using to install is this what is it? Pacific Accessory Corporation, Best Kits and Harness, I don't know. BKFMK550. It also has another number. This must be like a new number here. It says X000N84WY5, which is, I don't know, that's pretty interesting. Anyways, this kit is for many Ford applications. Including the Crown Victoria, 97 Crown Victoria. As you can see here, page 3, I already know that page 3 is the Crown Victoria. Now this kit comes with the major pocket. I think that's the key for my install. Also, lots of different brackets for the different installations, spacers, that type of thing. I don't believe, from the looks of this page, I'm going to be using any of that. In fact, what I have to do is alter this by removing this. So I suppose you could probably Dremel these off. You might even just be able to take a pliers to it. It looks like they're kind of relieved a little bit down here, so you might be able just to get a pliers on it and snap them right off. I'm first going to run a utility knife on the front and the back, and then just try to snap it off. I think that's probably easier. And then the other thing you have to do is, this radio came with this sleeve, and according to the directions here, you can't ISO mount with these applications. You have to use these DIN sleeves. I'm assuming this, what came with the radio, is my DIN sleeve. So this will be placed in here, and these tabs are basically on the top and the bottom, should be pried back, and I'll probably do that first, dry fit it in the vehicle, and then fit everything. It looks like this has these tabs on the side. I'm assuming these will help in keeping it in the vehicle. I'm not too concerned about securing it with any type of fasteners. I think it's probably going to be okay. That's how I did it in the past with a similar kit. My one concern is, am I going to need to relieve the back side of this pocket here? If you can see here, it did on previous models I've used, similar models, that was an issue. So we'll see if that's a problem here. There's also this adapter here. I think this is probably used for slightly different applications, but I won't use this because when this actually sits in, when the radio actually sits in, it sits nice and flush. Are you done? Okay, so I went ahead and removed those tabs. Damn dog. Shut up. So I went ahead and removed those tabs. You can see here, not as clean as I would have hoped, but it's going to be okay because when it gets installed, those aren't visible, so it's much faster than bringing out a Dremel, and certainly much cleaner than using a Dremel. I probably could have scored it a couple more times and gotten a cleaner break, but not too worried about that. And then bent over these tabs here for the DIN bracket. I went ahead and dry fit it already in the car. Looks good. So the next thing is pretty much just to install everything. Of course, at this point in time, I'm not doing the backup camera. That'll probably be done in another video. But I'll go ahead and get this installed in the car, and then we should be able to do a final shot and see it all put together. So I was going to install this, but then I got a little bit concerned because I'm still going to do the backup camera at some point in time, and I do want to install it, but I want to make sure I can remove it. I'm afraid that once I get it installed, that these tabs won't be able to remove the whole unit. So I needed to find a way to do this. Now, the radio actually comes with these keys here, and according to the manual, they're used for like the old radio. Of course, this doesn't look like anything I'm used to. I'm usually used to those two kind of prong things where you go in either side. I think I showed that earlier. So I needed to figure out how to get these out, because you can slide the radio out independently if you, like I mentioned earlier, showed earlier, if you pry these out. But of course, once this is installed, you can't pry these out. Well, you can with this key, but you have to take part of the faceplate off, the trim around the faceplate. And it's not obvious. In fact, the manual doesn't mention it. There is a little slot right here that maybe you could pry on, but it seemed a little too flimsy for that. The trick is to actually run the key, or probably something a lot smoother than this, in between the trim and the actual unit, and then you can actually pry this off fairly easily. And then once you do that, here's the trim ring actually off. Then you can actually take this key and slide it down here on the side, insert it. There's actually two of these, and you can see it actually lifts this. Then it should be a matter of actually pulling this entire unit out, independent of the, I guess you could say the trim. So then you don't have to worry about trying to yank or pry something in the actual vehicle. It's a little bit clever. I don't think I've ever had a unit quite like that. So, but then again, it's been maybe 10 years since I installed something similar. But now that I have that figured out, now I will install it in the car. All right, everything is connected and fit. There is an issue, possibly an issue that kind of know was gonna be, could be a problem. If you remember from the previous videos, there are two tabs up here, and there's one up here, or one down here, and one here on, basically mirrored on either side. The ones on top actually catch pretty well. It's pretty secure in there. It does rattle around a little bit. The ones on bottom, however, don't. And the problem with this is because this unit is Mech-less, it's also shallower. Whereas, a typical din, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 inches long. This is half of that. And the result is, it's secure in there. I'm going to drive around like this. But it is easy to actually remove, and just by pitching it out like this. And you can see it's still secured up at the top, but you can actually jiggle it a little bit and it comes out. So I'm going to have to find some means to secure that. If it becomes an issue, like I said, I don't know that it will be, but I think we'll just drive it around for a while, see how big of an issue it really is, because it could be okay. I imagine if you hit some big potholes, something, it could rattle around a little bit, but overall the finish is pretty good. It looks, the pocket and the finish around looks fairly factory, so it seems like a pretty good kit, thorough kit, easy to modify. Of course, you can't see the tabs that I removed or any of the problems with those. This pocket's probably a good spot too. Here's the remote, although that's probably going to go right into the glove box. I could easily get my cell phone in there. That shouldn't be a problem, what have you. I suppose other SD cards or cables or something like that. So it's kind of a convenient feature to have up there. But let's go ahead and start it. And let's see, it does take, like I said before, it does take a while for it to boot up. Here it comes. I'll go ahead and turn off these lights.
Good afternoon, Sonny.
Yeah, that was a good maybe 10 seconds.
406, good afternoon, I'm John Weaver.
that was a good 10 seconds before anything popped up. But it does remember the last station. I already removed the beep again. Of course, it doesn't remember your settings if you disconnect it. But we'll drive around for a while, and maybe I'll give an update on another video about whether or not this is decent radio, what I noticed about it. If you like this video, though, please click like, comment on it, and subscribe. And thanks. Bye.